Draft is not a new game mode. However, it is a very profitable one if used correctly. There are things that can be done, and this year there are a few slight improvements. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the correct way to grind Draft. For this, we are going to need some coins, so check out today's video sponsor, U4GM. U4GM offers cheap, fast and reliable EAFC coins so that you do not need to sweat it out. If you're interested, there is a link in the description down below, and if you use Fanatic at checkout, you'll also get yourself a 5% discount. Thank you U4GM for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back into it. The basic premise of Draft is quite simple. Instead of you competing with your very own team, you will enter into Draft and you'll be given a selection for everything. This is your formation, your players, and also your manager. It's up to you to build the best possible team out of that selection and then compete within a tournament. Just like any other game mode, you are rewarded for every single game that you play, where you will get coins anywhere between 500 to 900. Unless there's any additional coin bonuses, which this will go above. But the real good rewards comes down to where you place. If you get knocked out within the very first round, the rewards are not going to be good. It might be profitable if you can get some silver packs with some good silver players inside, but it's likely you will make a loss. The best rewards come towards the end if you're able to go through all 4 rounds, reach the final, and win the final. That gives you the best of the best. Depending where you place and how lucky you get with your rewards will depend whether or not you're able to make profit. Because unlike the other game modes that you can enter within Ultimate Team, which only costs you your time, with Draft you need to pay either 15,000 coins or 300 FC points. And if you're going out within the very first round every single time, it likely means that you're probably going to be making a loss, unless you follow the grind. Now this is broken down into various different conditions. So firstly, let's talk about online. If you're going to be going into this within online, you need to be a confident player, because Draft can be just as sweaty as some of the top divisions within division rivals, especially once we're building up to a massive promo, which we will talk about later. The process going through this, 15,000 coins, 300 FC points, and then building your team is really up to you. There's not an overpowered way or the correct way to build your team within Ultimate Team in terms of Draft. It's just your choice. What's your preferences with formation and what players are you going to be selecting? It's slightly better this year in that now when you move a player out of their default position and move them to an alternative position, they will automatically change, whereas before that didn't happen. So it's slightly easier to build teams. But to put it simply, if you're going to go for an online draft, you need to be confident enough to be getting towards that final round every single time. Because if you go out before then, there's 2 downsides. Firstly, that's less games that you'll be able to play, so less games where you're able to get coins from. That's 500 to 900 in total, but it also means you'll be in a lower bracket to claim good rewards. Now, like most things within Ultimate Team, you could be the very best, get to the final every single time, win every single game, and you'll be gifted good rewards. But it still comes down to luck of whether or not you're going to be able to profit from it. In most cases, based on the coins that you'll get from the games in which you've played, and also the rewards you get at the end, you should be in profit, even if you get nothing good and you quick sell everything. If you're not a confident player and you don't think you're able to get to the final round every single time, then you're going to have to go into SinglePlayer Draft. Now this is where it gets interesting, because with the SinglePlayer Draft, it does cost the exact same for you to enter, 15,000 coins or 300 FC points. But when going in as you're playing against the AI, you can select the difficulty. The difficulty that you select, well, it doesn't matter. Of course it matters because you want to win every single game, but it doesn't have any effect on the final reward. You can go into Draft on the lowest possible difficulty, get to the final and win that final, and still have the same type of rewards within the exact same bracket compared to if you went into a single player draft and played on the hardest difficulty. There are no differences. There's only a difference between playing single player draft and online draft, but nothing different within those game modes based on the various circumstances. So select a difficulty that you find enjoyable but can definitely win. Unfortunately, you won't be able to go through the single player draft efficiently, so to speak, because whereas EA updated game length this year for squad battles so that it is only 4 minutes per half, so about a 10-minute game in total by the time you go through the initial setup, all the cutscenes, any type of set pieces, your substitutes, all of that stuff, it is normally around about 10 minutes. With single player draft, that's not the case because the half length remains the same as what it used to be. So these are still going to be about 17, maybe even 18-minute games. Now with all of this is if you're going to be spending either coins or FC points to enter. Now let's take it to another level, because there is another way which I haven't mentioned as of yet in which you can enter draft. This is with draft tokens. Now, how do you get draft tokens? Well, they can come from any pack. There is a chance, although they are somewhat rare. You have just as much of a chance of getting a draft token as what you do as getting a walkout, and a pretty good walkout with that being said. Another way to get draft tokens is through gifts. Occasionally EA will gift you. You'll log in one day and there'll be a pack, and in that pack will be a draft token. But just like that previous point, gifts are just as rare compared to actually being able to get a draft token within a pack. The other ways to get draft tokens, and probably the better ways, is when it comes down to challenges and SBCs. With this, you do need to wait for EA to add them to these areas in terms of content, but once they're there, they're worth doing if you can get them for less than 15,000 coins. We've had previous years where a draft token SBC has been released, and for you to complete it from scratch, saying that you have no players within your club in order to get this, people would go and spend 20,000, 25,000, 30,000 coins just to get a draft token. I shouldn't have to tell you, but that is not worth it. This is why it's always worth going through the bronze pack method, just for you to build up your club with bronze players and then gradually upgrade them to silver players to common gold players, and common gold players to rare gold players, so that you have a club filled with untradeable players that really should only be used for your team if they're good enough, or through SBCs. And that way you can complete challenges like this for free. Nowadays, the choice to go through draft is quite tricky. It really shouldn't be a game mode that you should prioritize. It's actually best to go through division rivals, qualify for the Champions Playoff, qualify for the Weekend League, but before the Weekend League starts, to grind out squad battles. By the time you get to Friday, that's when you play the Weekend League, and then once it rolls back around to Monday, that's when you go back through division rivals. It's unlikely for most players to complete this process, considering you're going to need about 7 wins within division rivals to max out your rewards there. You're going to have to play 10 games if you want to get the best possible rewards for your Champions Playoffs. There's then 20 games within the Champions Finals, and then there's up to 32 games to play within squad battles. Most people, and this does include me, do not have time to do all of this. And with division rivals as well as squad battles being free to enter, and a draft equivalent to that will require you to spend 15,000 coins or 300 FC points for you to enter into that game mode, most will rather go division rivals or even squad battles. It is more profitable, and with squad battles having reduced game time, it's also better for time. But with that said, there are still reasons to play through draft. Firstly, entertainment. It is always fun building a best possible team without you needing to buy all of those players. Another reason to play is if you do get a draft token. If you can get your hands on a draft token without needing to spend a ridiculous amount of coins, time, or even real money, then it's definitely worth going, and it's definitely worth profiting by completing draft itself. Another reason is to stack packs before a major event. If you are going through everything that we mentioned, division rivals, Champions Playoff, Champions Final, and also squad battles, and you are doing a good job in going through all of those, if you do have more time, then it's certainly worth going through draft to get additional packs on top. There are a lot of people nowadays that dedicate themselves to the grind, who enjoy going through game modes, and instead of opening the packs immediately, they save them for major events, such as Team of the Year and Team of the Season. And that also brings us on to our fourth reason to keep on playing, is if you want to use your FC points efficiently. Now this is where we can tie it all together. Yes, you will need to spend 15,000 coins or 300 FC points to enter draft. However, EA does promise you that within the very first round, even if you were to lose that game, you will still be rewarded based on those 15,000 coins or 300 FC points. Now, don't get confused. That doesn't mean that you're going to profit. It means that rewards that you get will be equal to at least 15,000 coins. That doesn't mean that you're going to profit from those packs. But based on this, a lot of people like to use that previous point that we mentioned about of stack packs before a major event because they can put coins in, but they can also use FC points. If someone was to buy 12,000 FC points, yes, they can open quite a few packs, but they could also use 12,000 FC points to go through 40 drafts, whether that be single player or online. And if they're able to get to the final every single time, that cost of the overall amount of packs that you're able to collect will be way better than if you were just to go and use 12,000 FC points within the store. It's just whether or not you want to dedicate the time to go through 40 drafts to do that. Going through the store is certainly a lot quicker. And with everything that we've talked about with going through draft, whether it be single player or online, you will also complete draft challenges within your objectives. The rewards you get here come down to how many wins you get, how many matches you play. And gradually this will staircase up to you getting some pretty decent rewards, and then at the end, once you complete everything, you will get a club item, which you can store within your stadium. In my opinion, not really worth it for that final reward, but you will be able to get additional packs whilst going through the journey on top of all the packs you're going to get anyway. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see the correct way for you to grind moments, then I highly recommend clicking that video on screen. Thanks for watching.